So we're going to start in standing. So just remember that if you want to speak to me, it's absolutely fine. Just press your space bar and then you can, if you want to ask something or comment or whatever. And it's coming to standing. And once you're in standing, bring your hands together in prayer pose. Namaste, we sometimes call it. It's Anjali Mudra, I think, when we talk about it as a mudra. So just this feeling of settling and gathering yourself. And once you've brought your hands into prayer pose, if you're comfortable with closing your eyes, close your eyes and just notice what you feel, what you notice. And so for me, when I was doing this earlier, it was the feeling of my feet on the ground. And then there's the feeling of the contact of the hands. And it might be also if you've got particular injury or ache or pain, it might be that, there's something very present in your body. And you could maybe also, notice your breathing. And it might be that it's helpful to have a couple of big sighing breaths to help you settle. And again, if you're feeling a bit anxious, a bit agitated, or if you are feeling particularly stiff and creaky, using your out breath in that slightly more active way can help. And then what I'd like you to do from here, just very simply to start with, is to open your eyes, is to bring the backs of your hands together now. So you're touching the backs of your wrists and your fingers are dangling down. You can just give your fingers a little bit of a wiggle. So to start with in standing, we're mainly doing a few things to free up the shoulders and the arms. And so when you've done that, you can then shake your arms out and you can shake your legs out, obviously one leg at a time. Shake the legs out, good. Okay, and then we're just going to do a very sort of loose, easy, swinging twist where we let all of our body come along. We swing our arms to the right and to the left. If you like, I always like, you can slap your hands onto your body, especially if you need to wake up a little bit. Just get that sort of feeling of, your skin, of the blood moving through you. So a few more times, and let your feet move. So your pelvis is moving and the whole of your body is in movement. And again, as we do this all the time, just noticing what you feel and making sure if something doesn't feel quite right or feels a bit stiff, that you just go easy, rather than pushing yourself. And believe me, this is a lesson I have learned over the last 2 months. So from here, then settle your feet back down again. Bring your hands back into Anjali Mudra, prayer pose in front of your chest. And again, just gather yourself, settle your feet down, let a breath come in. And as you exhale, you're going to take your arms down and then up. Let your shoulders drop. Just be here for a moment. How does it feel to have the arms up? Not always so great. And then you're going to swing your arms and cross your arms as you swing them in front of your body. And again, just keep it easy. All these things hopefully are enjoyable. And from here, eventually you're going to swing your arms all the way to give yourself a hug. And maybe have your right arm on top, because then you just don't need to worry when we come on to side 2. So you're giving yourself a hug. And at this point, you could bring your hands, if it's comfortable, onto your shoulders, because we're really just trying to let the shoulders drop. And so from here, we can go on into eagle arms. I've been really enjoying these arm things as I've come back to doing yoga over the last, it's nearly 3 weeks now. So you can come onto here. There is a variation like this. If it's a bit more challenging, you can just support the right arm in the crook of the left, or you can come on into your eagle arms. Yeah. Yes, big jumpers are often good with come off at this point, B. So, and then here, just you can turn your elbows a little bit to the right and to the left. So it's not really just the elbows, it's the whole of the upper body. So if possible, you don't move below the waist. And you let your shoulders and your arms and your head and your ribs move to the right and move to the left. And Aditi, just you be careful, because I know this one is, can be a bit challenging for you. So if it starts to get too much and too much of a pull in your shoulders, Let it go, shake out your arms, and you can shake out your legs too. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So again, come back to, our starting point is to come back into prayer pose. So the hands joined in front of the chest. Just, yeah, in this place of being sort of gathered and settled. Letting a breath come in as you exhale, arms go down and then up. A moment with the arms up, drop the shoulders and then swing the arms, crossing them in front of your body. And then from here, so if you did what I said, which was to put your right arm on top, this time you're going to give yourself a hug with your left arm on top. But if you did your own thing, just do the other side now. And again, you could stay here. You don't have to go into eagle arms if it's quite pulls a lot around your shoulders. Hands on your shoulders is quite nice to help them drop, sort of on the bone of the shoulder joint. You can come on to here or into eagle arms. So just again, really whatever works for you today. These ones, I think what I really enjoyed about these ones, you can start to turn a little bit with your elbows if you like. What I've really enjoyed about these ones in my coming back to yoga over these last 3 weeks is just how settled they help me to feel in standing and start to really feel the ground beneath the feet. A little bit of turning the elbows, keeping the pelvis steady. And then whenever you're ready, releasing your arms, shaking them out. Shake your legs out as well if you like. So we're going to just see how it feels to go forwards into a forward bend. Now, you've got a couple of options. Some of you might want to come here and rest your elbows on your thighs. And if your lower back feels tight, you could do some little cat movements here, rounding your back, flattening out. If you feel fine, you can go all the way into a forward bend. But just, yeah, really just see how your lower back feels. And it's so, as you know, it's so variable from day to day. I was doing this earlier and I just thought, I just feel a bit tight there and I don't know why. So I'm going to go easy. You don't have to do cat movements when your elbows are on your thighs. You can just rest there, letting your head hang. And if you go all the way forwards, you can keep your knees nice and bent. Just let your head and arms hang. Yeah, whatever feels good for your body right now. Lovely. And also coming out whenever feels right for you. Because we're going to be going in and out of these movements. So if it feels tight, that's fine. It will hopefully get less tight. Okay. Yes, we're just coming now to, so when you've come out of your forward bend, if you've got your hands on your thighs, you can always walk your hands up your thighs to come back up. Now let's just see how it is to take our right arm up. And as you've taken your right arm up, just start to shift your weight onto your right foot a bit more. So the left arm's heavy and floppy, the right arm's gone up, and we're shifting our weight onto our right foot. We can let the left heel come up and just see how this feels. And then come out of that. And we're going to do that again and go a little bit further. So again, the right arm comes up. We shift our weight onto our right foot and leg. We let the left heel come up. And then we're going to let the left foot come off the floor completely. And we're going to catch the top of our left foot or our trouser leg. So we are coming into a little balance now on one foot. So if you need to have a wall beside you, this top arm could come onto the wall. And then your top arm, if it's not on the wall supporting you, it's going to come onto your breastbone here, onto this place between the throat and the heart, Kurma Nadi, this place that helps us feel steady. And we'll just have a few breaths here. Just how does it feel? Settling, of course, all the time we're going to feel these little wobbles. We might come all the way out. We might be able to sort of withstand them. Just maybe another 2 or 3 cycles of breath. This is very much a sort of, seeing how it feels balance early on in class. And we're going to come back to this later on once we've done some other things. So yeah, do come down and have a little shake out and we'll try the other side. So we think it's very, it's early days with how does it feel? So let's try taking the left arm up now. So the right arm's heavy and floppy. We take the left arm up. we're shifting our weight onto our left leg and foot. So first of all, just let the right heel come off the ground and just see how that feels. And then come down out of it, release your arm. And then we'll go a bit further. So left arm comes up, weight onto the left leg, right heel comes up, the right foot comes up completely off the floor. We catch the top of the right foot or we catch our trouser leg. And then the left hand comes onto the breastbone or onto the wall if you need the wall to help you feel a bit more steady. If possible, let your right knee drop towards the ground. Settle. See if you can feel the movement of your breath, maybe under your hand on your breastbone. Good. Lovely. Just a breath, 2 or 3, and then come down. Shake out. Good. And you're going to come back once more into your forward bend. So just whatever worked for you. You know, it might feel a bit different this time. So again, the same options we had before. So either coming with your elbows on your thighs, letting your head go, doing some cat movements here if you like, or going a bit further so you're releasing your head and your arms to the ground, knees as bent as you like. And just that feeling when we're in our forward bend of our heels rooting into the ground, because that is what really lets the spine release, if we can feel anchored through our heels. Good. Very nice, lovely. And then whenever you're ready, you can have another breath or 2 here. Whenever you're ready, you roll back up into standing, or you walk your hands up the front of your legs to give your lower back a bit more support. And just have a little shake out once you're up and standing. So we're going to do one more thing in standing, which is a sort of, again, sort of shoulders, shoulders really, shoulders, arms. And then we'll be coming down onto hands and knees. So come back into prayer pose again. So come back into settling and standing with your hands in prayer pose, Anjali Mudra in front of your chest. And yes, that is what I want you to do. And again from here, come back first of all to this movement we did right at the beginning of class, where you're going to then bring the backs of your hands together. So this just sort of stretches out your wrists, so the wrists are touching, the back of the wrists you can wiggle your fingers. Good. And then shake out your arms again. And then this time you're going to take one arm up. It could be the right arm, maybe again, I think. And you're going to bend your elbow and bring your hand towards the base of your neck. And you're going to then see how it is. You're not going to yank your arm around, but with the left hand, can you bring your hand onto your elbow? And just see how that is. And the other thing I'd like you to try when you're here is, can you then tap your right hand on the sort of base of your neck? Just to help bring some awareness there. Leave the right hand where it is then, and bring your left arm down and out in a big circle, and then your left hand can come up your back a little bit. So you're going towards your cow arms, but you're not pushing it too much. Yeah, so again, this is one I've been enjoying doing. It's tough in the shoulders, but just for that sense of feeling really rooted and settled through the feet and the pelvis. Just have a couple of breaths here and then we'll try the other side. So it doesn't matter whether you catch your hands or not. You might touch your fingers, you might not. It really doesn't matter. Release your arms, give them a shake out. Obviously what does matter is that we're not wrenching our shoulders around. So again, left arm comes up. Left elbow bends and the hand comes towards the base of the neck somewhere. And then the right hand, your right hand's going to come up onto your left elbow. But you're not, as you might see, I've seen lots of people in the park doing these fitness things, sort of yanking yourself around. You're just touching it. And then tapping yourself, patting yourself on your upper back. It's that stiff place. And if we can bring some awareness there, we can also let it release. And then the right arm can come out in that big circle to your side, and you can see how it is to bend your right elbow. Bring the back of your right hand up your back. And just what happens on this side? Where does that hand come to in terms of fingers touching? Maybe very far apart, and that's absolutely fine. Again, don't force it. Good. Maybe just a breath or two here. Yes, and then releasing those arms whenever you want to. And just one last thing, I think let's come to, before we come out of standing, let's come back to this loose, easy swinging twist. So we're going to come down in a moment onto hands and knees. So through a forward bend and dog pose onto hands and knees. And we're going to do various things down on the floor. And then come back into standing for some more balances. Not giving too much away. So come to the back of your mat. So we're going to go down through a forward bend and then walk forwards into dog pose. So you need some space in front of you. Might be quite nice if we, as it's a little bit of a theme today, if we bring our hands into prayer pose, and we can make this like the beginning of sun salute. So we can let a breath come in. As we exhale, we can take our arms down and then up. We can drop the shoulders away from the ears, and then we can round down into a forward bend. Have a breath or two here. You could still have your elbows on your thighs. And then when you're ready, big hand prints, walking forwards into dog pose. And seeing how it feels. So obviously when you're walking forwards into dog pose from a forward bend, you have to judge how far you go. And you know, my dog pose was not feeling so good this morning, so if that's the same for you, don't worry, we'll be coming back into dog. Obviously, bend your knees as much as you like. One knee, both knees. And from dog pose, we're going to come down onto hands and knees when you're ready. And we'll do some hands and knees things. So coming onto hands and knees, and just settle yourself on hands and knees. So your shoulders are over your wrists and your knees are under your hips. And the first thing I wanted us to do is a bit of our tail wagging movements. So on your hands and knees, you can take your awareness to your pelvis. You can imagine you're a dog with tail, you're wagging your tail. Otto is asleep on the sofa, my dog, most of you know. As usual. Or you could be a fish with a beautiful sort of frondy tail that you're swishing from side to side. So just, yeah, find that tail wagging, tail swishing movement of your pelvis moving to the right and to the left. Now, if you're doing this and your lower back feels a bit pinchy, then look back towards your knees as you do it. But look back along, you know, under your body towards your knees. And that will help your lower back lengthen out. And then the other thing I'd like you to do on hands and knees, and you can alternate a bit as you like or add them together, are some cat movements. So some rounding your back to the ceiling and some dipping your spine to the floor. So as I think you all know, these cat and tail wagging movements are just really good for releasing the sort of tightness that we can experience around the lower back. And yeah, just helping things to feel a little bit more mobile there. So really up to you, some cat movements, doesn't matter when you breathe, just make sure you're not holding your breath, you're letting your breath flow in and out. A little bit more tail wagging if you like. And whenever you need to give your wrists and your hands a little rest, you're going to round your back to the ceiling in your rounded cat, and you're going to rock your hips back over your heels into child pose. Now, there are a couple of options here. So Kate, if it's better for you, lie on your belly, or anyone else, if you prefer lying on your belly to child pose, or if you prefer to be kneeling, yeah, upright. So if it's not so good to have your forehead on the floor today, you just prefer being upright. Just have a couple of breaths there. settling the weight of your body onto the ground, wherever you are, child pose, kneeling, lying on your belly. And then we're going to come back onto hands and knees, and we're going to bring one foot forwards into lunge. So it doesn't matter which foot, because we're going to do both sides. So you can come onto hands and knees, you can step one foot between your hands and come into a lunge. So we're thinking a little bit more now about opening out through the front of the body, the front of the back leg thigh. You want to have your front knee over your heel, as you know. Your back toes can be tucked under or flat. And you've got options in your lunge. So you could just be in lunge, breathing and settling. If it's better for you to do a bit of easing in and out, you could, it's interesting, I always say do this with your back toes untucked, but I just did them with them tucked under and it was fine. So yes, if you want to sort of ease back out of your lunge and then into your lunge, you can do. If you're easing in and out of lunge, you might come up onto your fingertips a bit more when you come into the lunge, and when you go back, you look back towards your back leg. And we will swap sides in a moment on lunge. And what I was going to say is I'd like you to do a dog pose in between sides of lunge. So it might be that you're happy to go straight from lunge into dog. It might be that you want to go onto hands and knees. So that's really up to you. And we're just going to see how does dog pose feel now. And yeah, come into dog. And if, like me, your first dog pose didn't feel quite good, this second one might start to be releasing a little bit more. So remember, bending, the main thing in dog pose is to bend your knees. Bend your knees, big handprints on the floor. Have a look at where your hands are. If your shoulders are feeling tight, you can take your hands, wide, as wide as the mat. And whenever you want to, you'll bring the other foot forwards into lunge. So that could be straight from dog pose, or you could come onto hands and knees and bring your other foot forwards into lunge. And see how side 2 of lunge feels. So when you're in side 2 of lunge, again, you just want to have this organisation of your knee being over your heel. It's fine if your knee goes forwards over your foot as long as your heel stays down. You just don't want your knee to be further back than your heel because it's a bit unsupportive for the knee joint. And then again, you can be in lunge, breathing, toes tucked under, toes untucked, with your toes, your back foot flat. It's probably more comfortable. You can be easing in and out, forwards and back in your lunge. And all the time, our intention in lunge is this feeling of opening through the front of the body, specifically through the front of the back leg thigh, over the front of the pelvis on that side. And there is going to be a strong stretch. If you've been cycling or running, there's more of a stretch. If it feels too much, then, just back off, ease out. So in your own time, it's going to be another dog pose and then into child pose. Okay, so however you want to go into dog, seeing how that dog pose feels, and then having a little breather. Again, it's child pose or lying on your belly or kneeling. Yeah, you've got those 3 options. Good. Donna, I've realised you're in a completely different room than you usually are, so it's taken me ages. I'm thinking, who's that there? I've realised it's you now. Yeah. Okay, and Jim, yes. Lovely cat. Yeah, so a few breaths, kneeling, child pose, lying on your belly. Now, Sarah, the next thing is probably the only thing that you need to miss out. We're going to be doing that sort of rocking way into pigeon, which is not so good for you, but you can just go straight into pigeon, a pigeon that works for you. Okay. So yes, we're going to be coming into, and B, you may not, I think you probably may not know this one because it's probably one I've been doing more recently. It's just a sort of different way into pigeon. And what we're going to be doing is you come into this pigeon variation where you start off with, it's like you do half of kneeling, so that rather than bringing your foot over towards the back leg, in front of the back leg thigh, it's under its own buttock. And then what we do is we do a little bit of rocking. We rock our pelvis side to side over that back heel. And then we take this into pigeon. So, and obviously if anyone does this and their knee doesn't like it, then don't do it. But so bring one leg forwards. It doesn't matter which, we'll do both sides. You're going to be on your elbows. You're in this sort of half kneeling pose, this pigeon variation where your heel is under its own buttock. And then resting on your elbows, you could have your back toe tucked under, it could be flat. You're seeing how it feels to rock your pelvis to the outside of that heel and then towards the inside of that heel. And it does create a sort of side bendy, sort of slightly lizardy type feeling through the body. But obviously if it creates discomfort, then don't do it. It gives us that chance to let the pelvis rock a bit from side to side. Now, when you feel that you want to take this into pigeon, you would let your pelvis rock to the outside of your heel. Maybe if I swap legs, it would be a bit clearer. So you'd rock your pelvis to the outside of your heel, and then you could slide your foot over a little bit, and then sort of roll into pigeon pose. And one of the things we were learning about in the previous lockdown was how to try and feel when our pelvis is level. Again, it doesn't matter. If you feel pressure in your knee in pigeon, then you can roll off to the side and you can be a bit lopsided. But if it's fine for you to bring your pelvis level, which probably means that this the top of your front thigh, your front buttock is not on the floor, that's okay. You're trying to sort of feel, is your pelvis level? And obviously it's not the end of the world if it isn't, but oh, I've got a lovely cat there, Donna. Yeah, so it's that feeling. And then obviously the most important thing is, how does it feel? Can you breathe? Can you settle? Can you give the weight of your pelvis to the floor? And if your knee isn't happy, you come out. Well done. Good. So I got that there. It's up to you. If you want to do a dog pose in between the two sides of this pigeon, you can do. Or you can, in your own time, come onto side 2. So again, remember, we're starting off with this pigeon variation where you've got your heel under your buttock. Yes, do a dog pose if you want to. Might be quite nice. And yeah, if dog pose was feeling hard work earlier, it might feel easier after pigeon, just by contrast. So yes, start off with this pigeon variation where you've got the other leg forwards now, your heel is under your buttock, you're on your elbows, you're rocking your pelvis to the outside of your heel and then to the inside of the heel, and this sort of rather lizardy movement. Letting the pelvis rock a bit to the right, a bit to the left. Good. Everyone, I think Zoom had frozen for a moment and everyone's pelvises were not moving, but it started moving again. Good. Yes, and exactly like I can see some of you doing, as your pelvis rocks one way, you can sort of look down the side of your body towards your pelvis. I'll leave it to you to work out which way you want to look. And then obviously from here, making your way into pigeon pose. Or a bit more, so it's more of a normal pigeon pose. So you rock your pelvis to the outside of your heel. You can then slide your foot over a little bit, so it's more in front of the other leg. And then you can roll back over. So either you stay a bit lopsided, so you're not putting the pressure through your knee, so your weight's through the outer thigh, or you come a bit more level with your pelvis. Good. Then you just have a few breaths in pigeon pose. And obviously rolling out when you've had enough. Good. So when you've had enough pigeon pose, we were going to come into another dog pose. And in this dog pose, I thought it might be quite nice to do any of your one-legged dogs if you wanted to see how that feels. Yeah. I think you all know these. You can have your pelvis level, you can roll your pelvis, you can bend your top knee, you roll your pelvis. So those, yeah. Yeah, see how they feel. You don't have to do one-leg dog poses. If you've got particular things going with your shoulders, it might be better to keep both feet on the floor. I particularly like the one where one leg is long and I'm really reaching into my heel. That's it, being rolling the pelvis. So you sort of reach into the heel, roll the pelvis, and feel that length from your hand all the way through to your heel. Now, I was going to suggest, but Kate, this might not be, you might not be, I'm not sure where you are with squatting. I was going to suggest from this dog pose, when you've done your one legs, you walk your hands into your feet, into a forward bend, and you come down to the floor through a squat. But if that's not so good for anyone's knees, then just go down onto your hands and knees again. So you can all come in, you can all walk from your dog into a forward bend. And then if squatting's not good, you just go back onto hands and knees. So where are we? So it's in a squat, it doesn't matter if your heels come up. We're really just thinking about this, letting the lower back lengthen out. If you want something under your heels, rolling up your mat or a cushion, you can pop something under your heels to help you just stay there. But we're mainly doing this squat to help the lower back lengthen out. You could fold down in between your knees for a couple of breaths. And from here, we're going to lie down onto our bellies on the floor. Okay, so Kate, yeah, well done, Kate. I'm just to come see this squat. Very good. Yes. Wow. There you go. The progress. That's amazing. So yeah, lie down onto your belly. And so again, this may be, you may think, oh, wonderful, lying on my belly. You may think, oh my goodness, I hate this. Yes, do put a blanket under your front, Hilary, if that's better. So for anyone, if you need a bit of padding under the front of you, lie down on your belly. And I think have your forehead resting, if you have one hand on top of the other, and rest your forehead on the back of your hands. And then give your pelvis a bit of a wiggle. So when I came to lie on my belly this morning, I just sort of, my lower back just didn't feel that happy. So give the pelvis a wiggle, see if that helps you settle. That's nice, that's pelvis wiggling, good. Just have a couple of breaths here and just noticing how does it feel to be on your belly? Can you rest and breathe? Or are you just waiting for it to be over? And then you're going to try those little movements where you sink down into your forearms and your elbows and you lift your head, trying to use the muscles in your upper back. So trying to feel that we're activating those little muscles in the upper back, maybe possibly where we were tapping our hand a bit earlier, a bit lower down perhaps. So a few times as you exhale, sinking down into your elbows and forearms, Lifting your head as you exhale, bringing it back down. And seeing how that feels. It might be you want to stay with that. We're not going to be on our fronts long. But if these movements are easy for you, you could change your hand position. So your hands are standing on the floor beneath your shoulders. So this is a sort of cobra type movement. The hands are standing on the floor beneath your shoulders. And as you exhale, you press down into your hands. And you lift your head. So that's, yeah, just see how that feels. And your elbows, yeah. So there. And you maybe have to play around with exactly where your hands are. So the hands, yeah, the hands are under the shoulders. The elbows are off the ground now. And yeah, just don't do anything that doesn't feel comfortable for you. You can do that 2 or 3 times and then bring yourself all the way, very nice, all the way back into child pose. Or just lie on your belly if child pose isn't an option. Or kneeling if you prefer. So I just want to do one more thing before we come back into standing, which is coming into our face-up dog, which is actually a bit easier, I think, than cobra. So if you're in child pose, you can slide your hands further forwards on the mat, so your elbows come off the ground, and come then up onto hands and knees, or you can just come straight onto hands and knees if you're on your belly. So you want to be in this sort of longer hands and knees position, yeah? So the hands are not under the shoulders, they're actually a bit further forwards. And then we'll just start easily or gently, this little movement of rocking forwards. So it asks quite a lot of the wrists. How does it feel to start to let the pelvis come forwards towards face-up dog? And I know some of you really like this and you might just be whizzing into face-up dog. But I always need to go a little bit easy, just to how does my lower back feel? So face-up dog, the pelvis is hanging, yeah? Cobra, the pelvis is the pubic bone is on the floor. Face-up dog, the pelvis is hanging, which does help the lower back lengthen. Now, if your lower back is feeling tight, you could do your cat movement into face-up dog. So you could tuck your toes under, round your back to the ceiling, rock your hips back over your heels, and then you travel forwards into your face-up dog with your spine rounded. So you look back at your pelvis. And then you only look forwards once you're, yeah, I think most of you know this. So you could reverse that movement. You could go back again, rounding your back, tucking your toes under, rocking back. I might take my t-shirt off because I seem to be talking into my t-shirt. Back into, that's it, and then traveling forwards, rounding the back. You're going to do one more face-up dog in your own time, a couple of breaths in child, and then we're going to come back into standing. So one last face-up dog, rounding your back, traveling forwards, dropping the shoulders down away from the ears, letting the pelvis hang. And then just a breath or two, child pose, or you could be kneeling. Or you obviously could be lying on your belly. Just a breath or two. Child pose, kneeling. We're going to make our way, whenever you're ready, up into standing through dog pose, forward bend, rolling up into standing. And if dog pose feels nice, then do enjoy it. Yeah, don't be in a rush. If the forward bend feels nice, enjoy it. Don't be in a rush. Yeah, taking your time to arrive in standing. There's no rush, whenever you're ready. When you come into standing, any little things you want to do to shake out to help you settle, but we're going to then come back to as we were earlier, just settling with our hands in prayer pose, which is a sense of just using this mudra and Jali mudra to help bring us to our center. Closing our eyes, feeling the feet on the ground, letting the shoulders drop, feeling the flow of your breath. So we're going to come to some balancing poses in standing, but obviously if we're going to think about balancing, we want to start with this feeling of connection with the ground, with feeling supported, steady. So what you're going to do first of all with your hands in prayer pose is just let your knees bend. And as you let your knees bend, see if you can let your tailbone drop a little bit and your weight sink into your heels. And then you're going to alternate that with straightening the knees but not locking them, and then shifting your weight forwards onto the balls of your feet. And do this a few times. So alternate between heels down, bending your knees, dropping your tailbone. So you want to feel this sort of heavy feeling in the tailbone, nice in the lower back. And then letting the knees straighten but not lock, and bringing your weight forwards onto the balls of your feet. Maybe one more time, just doing it like this. Because we're going to then sort of develop it a little bit. In fact, this time if you feel steady, then what about taking your arms up, still in prayer pose, up towards the ceiling. And then you can take them out of prayer pose and take your arms wide. Let your shoulders drop. Good, very nice for a breath or two. Yes, and you can come down and have your shake out. And we're going to do that twice more. And just to slightly, I'm just going to show you the little sequence we're going to do. Well, Otto's emerging, so I hope he's not going to block out the screen. So we'll take the arms up into prayer pose, and then we'll take the arms out to the side, all the way down to here, and then back into prayer pose, all the time as we're balancing on the balls of our feet. And we'll try that twice. And of course, it doesn't matter if you fall out. So hands in prayer pose. Start by bending your knees, letting your tailbone drop. And then letting the knees straighten but not lock, coming forwards onto the balls of your feet. Finding your balance, then bringing your arms up in prayer pose, up towards the ceiling. And then taking the hands away from each other, letting your shoulders drop. And then taking your arms out to the sides, palms up. And then from here, that's it. Can the hands come into prayer pose in front of you? Maybe still balancing. Now, B, we did a lot of this. Come down and have a shake out. We did a lot of these in the first lockdown. So, yes, very little bit of, at the end of this one, I'm sure, finding it easy. So, last time, hands in prayer pose. Start by that bending the knees, letting your tailbone drop. Then straightening the knees, not locking them, bringing the weight forwards onto the balls of your feet. Finding your balance there, and then the arms can come up over your head. The hands can come away from each other. Obviously, if you've orientated yourself, so you've got the space to take your arms out to the sides. Good. And then from there, can the hands come back into prayer pose in front of your chest. Good. And then this time, as you bring your heels down, come all the way down into a forward bend. And let your head go. Let your arms go. And just be that, sit very nice, heavy and floppy. So that obviously is a balance on 2 feet. We're going to now do a couple of balances on 1 foot. So we have a couple more breaths in your forward bend and then roll back into standing. So we're going to come back into the balance we did earlier in class. And let me just show you, because we're going to go a bit further with it. So we'll come back to here in the same way. It might be your hand on your breastbone, you might have your arm up. And then from here, we're going to reach back with the foot and forwards with the hand. And you're going to touch your thumb to one finger. You can choose which. See which you're drawn to touch. So you've got that mudra in your front hand, and you can just sort of see that in your peripheral vision. So this is something I've been playing with, this not just touching my thumb to my index finger, but trying to see which finger. Each finger we touch the thumb to is a different mudra. It has a different quality to it. So let's start off like we did. So we're going to stand on the right foot first. We're going to be taking the right arm up. Left arm's heavy and floppy. Do use the wall if you need it, shifting your weight onto your right foot. So the left heel comes up. The left foot comes up completely. We catch the top of the foot or the trouser leg. We could at this point keep our arm up, or if for steadiness, we bring the hand to the breastbone. Then we're going to reach forwards with, or backwards with the left foot, forwards with the right arm. So your left heel comes away from your buttock. And then touching your thumb to one finger, your palm faces up. So we've got that mudra in our front hand. And it might be that you can see your hand in your peripheral vision. You're not looking at it, but you can just out of the corner of your eye. Yes, a couple of breaths there. Very nice. And of course, we're always going to, we're always going to, because we're doing a bit more in the balance, it's always going to, challenge our balance. So do you feel that you can just stay? If it's better for you to stay with your hand on your breastbone, that's fine. You don't need to go further. Let's try side two. So reaching up with the left arm, right arm's heavy and floppy, weight shifting into the left leg. The right heel comes up. We really feel that our weight's now on the left. We can sort of just sneak the right foot off the floor. And so again here, if you're feeling a bit unsteady, hand to your breastbone, and just stay here, that's fine. If you want to then start to reach your foot back away from your bottom and your arm forwards, you can do. And then yes, which finger are you going to touch with your thumb? Does that contact of your thumb and your finger help you find a bit more steadiness, a bit more focus? Very nice, well done. Beautiful. Good, yes, do go into a forward bend and even down into a squat if you like, Hilary, not just Hilary. Anyone, so forward bend. Down into a squat if you like. We're going to, yes. I'm going to do one more. I'd like us to do just a tree pose, because I think tree pose is that for all of us, I think, just that really sort of familiar. It's Atticus. It's Atticus, Rosie. Oh, it's so nice to see him again. So I say one of the things being ill for this long period is I just, really appreciated my animals so much to have their company. So back into standing. We're going to come into tree pose. You're going to, it could just, you could be bringing your foot onto your ankle. You could bring your foot further up. I'd say stand on the right foot first again, because that's what we just did. We'll keep it very simple, hands in prayer pose. If you want to take your arms up, you can do just a sort of, simple, familiar tree pose. Maybe our emphasis is on quietening rather than pushing ourselves at this point. So, wherever you want to be in tree. So again, if we have our hands in prayer pose, we can feel the contact of our thumbs on our breastbone. Stay here if you like. If you feel that you want to grow your arms upwards, the sort of branches of your tree, you can do. And again, it doesn't matter if we wobble, if we fall out. Just seeing how it feels. The shoulders drop. If you take your arms up, just feel alive and soft into your palms and your fingers. It's always nice with Tree to finish with the hands back at the heart in prayer pose. Very nice. And you can come down, we can move on to our second side when we're ready. So coming back down, let both feet come onto the floor and starting to shift your weight onto your left foot. Just growing your tree from the ground up. So organise ourselves below the waist. We then bring our hands into prayer pose at the heart. Just how does it feel to settle here? And often one side feels so different to the other side. Just let ourselves notice what we feel. We feel drawn to taking the arms up, we can let the arms grow. We can let the shoulders drop. And bring the hands back into prayer at our heart. Come down. Just before, have a little shake out. I thought we would do it just before we leave standing. We will be coming into lying. I'd like us to revisit this swinging twist and then just settle one last time in standing with our hands in prayer pose. Just a little bit of sort of letting everything go now. So one last time, have a look at your feet, settle your feet down. We're just going to feel ourselves in standing with our hands in prayer pose. So this feeling of gathering into our centre. Closing our eyes if you're comfortable with that. And just noticing what you feel. What you sense. So there's the feelings of the body, the feelings of the feet on the floor, maybe the air on the skin. Can you feel the flow of your breath? Then you let the shoulders soften and drop. Make sure your jaw is relaxed. Your tongue is quiet in your mouth. Very nice, beautiful. And then in your own time and your own way, you're going to make your way down to lie down. So if you feel that you want to do a forward bend or dog pose, you can. You might just want to put on warm things. And we are going to do a couple of little movements to settle us down, but nothing very dramatic. So you can have socks on, Sarah. And you can even do your little movements, I think, under a blanket. So yes, settle down onto, is that Kate who's just gone to sleep? Settle down, you're already asleep. So settle down onto your backs. Yeah, so I think first of all, just lie however you want. We are going to do a little bit with our knees bent and our feet standing on the floor, but you don't need to do that straight away. Just make sure it's possible. So don't mummify yourself so much that you can't bend your knees. So the first thing you're going to do once you're settled is, yes, maybe a couple of big sighing breaths. Just feel as heavy as you can. And so probably this lying down and doing nothing is the thing that's hardest to do on our own at home. Come to feeling the weight of your head on the ground. And then let your head roll to the right and to the left, very lazily, very languidly. So this movement should feel pleasant for your neck, this sort of easing your head from side to side. And a couple more times, let the head roll to the right and to the left. And then settling the centre of the back of your head on the floor. Very pleased to see Sarah, your dog, also doing Shabbat. Yes, settling down. They're very good at it. So settling your head down in a comfortable place, the centre of the back of your head on the floor. And if your legs are long, now do bend your knees and stand your feet on the floor. And we're going to come to that very simple movement we often start off with in class when we have a bit more time, which is letting your knees now tilt to the right and to the left. And just, yeah, whatever's comfortable for you. That's nice. Going at the pace that feels comfortable, going as far as feels comfortable. There's a little rocking movement. You can carry on a little bit more, tilting your knees from side to side. And if it would feel nice for you, you could, from there, fold your knees. You've got two options, either lengthen your legs out again, or before you lengthen your legs out, exactly, Helen, fold your knees into your chest and just do a little bit of rocking. You could just hug your knees, or you could rock a little bit from side to side in that position, or you could circle around the back of your pelvis. Good. And then you are going to settle down with either your knees bent or your legs long. And let's just, to start with, we've only got a few minutes left, a couple of minutes left really. To start with, bring your hands onto the front of your body somewhere. So it could be your belly, it could be your ribs, just hands on the front of your body, somewhere that helps you to feel the movement of your breath in your body. And gathering your attention into those sensations, the feeling of your body responding to the breathing, and also the feeling of your hands resting on your body, their warmth, their weight, their steadiness. And just see if you can keep your attention focused, maybe for 3 cycles of breath, your attention focused on your breathing. Our mind, as our body starts to get quiet, our mind can sometimes get busy. So, doing your best to feel those 3 cycles of breath as the breath moves through you. The in-breath widening you, filling you. The out-breath emptying you. And then you can keep your hands on your belly if you like, or you can let your arms rest on the floor beside you. And you could now let your awareness be a little bit more expansive. So just everything, open yourself to everything that's present right now in your body, in the world around you. Maybe bird song. I can hear children playing in the school opposite me. Maybe the presence of your animals. The feeling of the ground beneath you, the air on your skin. Just taking these last few moments to feel yourself as part of the world. The merging of your inner and your outer world as the breath comes in and the breath leaves you. In a moment, I'm going to ring my singing bowl 3 times. You don't need to move. You can stay, unless you have to do something. Just stay and let these 3 sounds become part of the world around you. So thank you, everyone. I don't think I can actually unmute people now, but if you'd like to unmute yourself, you're very welcome. Well, Alice, I can unmute you. I think I've muted you now.
Thanks, Kara.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you. That was really lovely. Thank you very much.
So Alice, is your puppy around, or is
She's downstairs, yes, out the way. Yoga with her all over me.
Alice has got a new puppy since we last had a class.
Yeah, oh my God.
She'll have to make an appearance one Friday.
I will, yes, for sure. Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See you later.
Lovely weekends, everyone.
It's lovely weekend, everyone. Let's keep our fingers crossed for what's going on in the States. Oh,
yeah. Oh my God. Oh.
Gosh.
Thank you.
Crazy time.
Thank you, Kara.
Oh, Bee, so good to see you. For those of you who don't know Bee, Bee is someone I used to teach in Brighton a long time ago, who's now joining us from Kendal. So,
Oh.
very nice.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. I bet it's beautiful up there.
It is today. The sun is shining.
Well,
Yeah.
We had a beautiful day in Brighton yesterday, the first day of lockdown. Back on the golf course, Donna.
I know. I was
no golf.
I saw Kate up there, actually. I bumped into Kate, and it was like the first day of lockdown last time. It was just this calm, beautiful.
It was amazing yesterday, wasn't it? There was no wind. It was just, it was like heaven.
Really beautiful.
Really
So yeah, hopefully we'll get more days like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh well, this is good anyway. Great to be back, Cara.
Yeah,
Really
good.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Cara,
Yes, my love. How are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, still a bit feeble, but a lot better than I was.
Poor thing.
I know, it's been recurring since lockdown, and they want to
I
put me
know
on
you were
2
really,
worth of,
you were really, weren't you, in the last lockdown? You were really at one point, I know, really not well.
yeah. And it comes out in all these sort of sores along my jaw, and
You're saying it's shingles?
anyway.
Because that's such a... my
But,
sister,
but they, without actually swabbing them,
yeah.
it's either shingles or a shingles-like virus that
Because
keeps.
my sister's had that, and it's such a, she gets it, it reoccurs with stress and
Yeah,
that sort of
yeah.
thing. So,
But anyway, I'm definitely on the mend from that. The last bout, it was the anniversary of my mum's death last week, and I think that was what was bringing it on. A year already.
oh,
But I was wondering, Cara, whether you would record these hour-long sessions, because that actually can work very well for me.
yes.
It's
Well,
easier at the time.